Stories of Great Christians. From its radio studios in Chicago, the Moody Bible Institute greets its friends everywhere with the 6th transcribed chapter of Francis Asbury, the story of the circuit riders. Francis Asbury had journeyed to London to meet the founders of Methodism, John and Charles Wesley. Here he was examined as to his faith and motives for preaching. And here at first hand he learned of some of the early beginnings of the movement in which he had become interested. The examination and conference among the three men was not hasty, and that was the way it should have been, for the decisions that were reached in London in 1767 were to be of importance to the whole world.
Mr. Asbury, how are you today?
Fine, Dr. Wesley.
Have you given any further thought to the matter we discussed?
I'm sorry, sir. You mean the...
About the challenge of the colonies of America.
Oh. Well...
You know, there's a tremendous need in the New World. Settlers are arriving every day. Frontiers are being pushed westward, and our work there is still very small. We need young men with vision to accept this challenge.
Yes, Dr. Wesley. I do realize there's a challenge there.
What a pity when Charles and I were in America that neither of us had a proper insight into what God demanded of us. We could have done so much more.
Mr. Whitfield is still there, is he not?
Yes. He's been back to England a time or two, of course. He's in New England at present. But as for actual Methodist preachers, we have only 2 in the New World. A tragic need. Well, what do you think of it?
Sir, I must confess that I haven't given it much thought, or even prayer. I have no definite feeling about it whatsoever.
Well enough, but you think about it. Pray. Now, as to our decision, Charles and I have talked about you a great deal. He had to leave London last night, but he agrees with what I'm about to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Frankly, we feel you need additional preaching experience. Now, don't misunderstand. We feel that you've been truly converted and that God has led you into this ministry. But, Mr. Asbury, preaching the gospel is serious business.
I realize that, sir.
Now, we're going to appoint you as a preacher, and...
You are?
Yes, but we're going to send you back to your own country. We'll be observing you and praying for you, and from time to time we'll counsel you, God giving us wisdom. Then, next year at our conference, we may be able to give you additional responsibility. How does that strike you?
Excellent, Dr. Wesley. It's really more than I hoped for. I don't know just
Yes?
I don't know just how to phrase this, except that I'd hoped to be sent back to my own district. I feel, Dr. Wesley, that my own people in the Black Country need the gospel as much as anyone.
You're entirely right. It's a hard field, and a needy one. I'll write to Mr. Orp, and you'll assist him, and he'll give you all the other information that you need.
Son, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, don't be so proud of me, Mother. There's nothing in me.
But son, I've always felt you'd be a preacher. It's been my prayer all these years, and now God has worked it out.
You'll have to continue praying, Mother. This won't be an easy task, I know.
But you know the people. You've lived here all your life, and you've already preached to them.
Yes, but things are not getting any easier, Mother. This is going to be different. Much different.
Just what do you gentlemen plan on doing here?
We're not breaking any law, Constable, you may be sure.
We don't allow peddlers to set up their wares after 6 in the evening.
We're not peddlers, sir.
Can't be on the street after curfew either. Mind that.
We know that, too.
Well, if you're not peddlers, then what are you?
We're preachers of the gospel.
You? Preachers of the gospel?
That's right.
Well, old man, I can believe that of you, but this lad, he's a preacher, too?
Indeed I am, sir.
How you people are robbing the cradle these days.
Pay no attention to him, Francis.
Just a minute now. Are you Methodists?
We preach only the gospel of Jesus Christ, sir.
Are you Methodists? And you're afraid to admit it?
Yes, we're Methodists. But what of it? We're not breaking any laws.
Let me tell you, you're idlers, and you're not wanted in this town. You hear?
Constable, we know our rights. We're on a public thoroughfare. And there's no law prohibiting us from preaching here.
Well, don't look for any protection, for I'll give you none. The people in this town just don't like Methodists.
We'll take that chance.
Can't say I didn't warn you. But you best get out of town while there's still time. You see that gin mill across the street?
Yes?
The owner of that place is Big Isaac. He's an old sea captain, as strong as an ox and mean. He it was that drove out the last group of your people that came here. Did it all by himself. Although he could have had plenty of help had he wanted it.
And you didn't do anything about it?
Well, now, I'm only one man. Besides, I like to go along with the people, whatever they want.
Tell me, Constable, how many people do you have in jail right now in this town?
Oh, about 12. I don't see
And there are
what...
about 200 people living here?
That's right.
12 people out of 200. Sounds as though you have some problems here. What are they in for?
Well, everything you can name. Robbery, drunkenness. Even have one man for murder. But what has that got to do
Seems
with...
to me you need some gospel preachers here. We're not going to send more people to your jail. We want to keep them out.
Well...
Oh, come now. May we stay? Will you keep order while we have a little meeting?
Well, you gentlemen have me in a bit of a quandary. I guess there's no harm in you holding one meeting. That is, if...
Thank you. Now, Constable, give us a hand with these hymn books, please. Let's stop here for a moment, Francis.
I'm going to dismount for a minute, Miss Thorpe.
I guess I will, too. Look at that view.
Yeah. The whole valley.
No wonder it's called the Black Country. Huge mounds of coal dust everywhere you look.
Those chimneys belching out smoke.
The people about as black inside and out as the coal they mine. God pity them.
Yeah. How's your shoulder?
Still pretty sore.
And the constable just stood there and did nothing. Oh, shame.
That old sailor, Isaac, wasn't that his name? Sure had some strength in his wallop. But you, Francis, you were hit too.
I'm all right. Makes you wonder sometimes, doesn't it?
Wonder? About what?
Well, is it worthwhile? I mean, isn't it a little bit like casting pearls to swine? We've had the same experience 6 times already. We enter a town almost secretly, hold a brief gospel service, and then driven out like common criminals. And all we do is preach Christ. Sometimes I wonder.
Well, son, don't reason like that. Do you remember that old miner in Wesbury?
Yes.
He was worth speaking to, wasn't he? He accepted Christ. And that woman in Stafford.
A woman of sin, if I ever saw one.
Like the Samaritan, she found the water of life. Son, it's true we haven't seen very many come to Christ on this tour of our circuit, but there have been a few, and they make it all worthwhile. Never forget that.
And I have this
final appointment to announce. Mr. Francis Asbury, who up to now has assisted Mr. Orp in Staffordshire, is now appointed to Northamptonshire. So much for the appointments. Now, I want to read to all of you who are preachers some rules which I have prepared for your conduct. Needless to say, I feel they're important, and I would stress that they be observed. Please be attentive in your listening. First, be diligent. Never be unemployed for a moment. Never be triflingly employed. Never while away the time, nor spend more time at any one place than is strictly necessary. Be serious. Let your motto be holiness to the Lord. Avoid all lightness, jesting, and foolish talking. Converse sparingly and cautiously with women. Take no step toward marriage without first acquainting us with your design. Believe evil of no one. Unless you see it done, take heed how you credit it. Put the best construction on everything. You know, the judge is always supposed to be on the prisoner's side. Speak evil of no one. Keep your thoughts within your own breast till you come to the person concerned. Tell everyone what you think wrong in him, and that plainly, and as soon as may be, else it will fester in your heart. Make all haste to cast the fire out of your bosom. Above all, if you labor with us in the Lord's vineyard, it is needful that you should do that part of the work which we advise at those times and places which we judge most for his glory.
Were you expecting anyone, Francis?
No.
I'll see who it is. Why, Mr. Orp, come in.
Thank you.
I thought you were away on the circuit.
I had to return. Mrs. Asbury, if you don't mind, I'd like to speak with Francis privately.
Of course.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Orp?
Yes, Francis. I don't like to have to say what I'm going to say, but in keeping with Mr. Wesley's rules, I feel I must.
Well, can you tell me sitting down?
Of course, thank you.
Now, what is it, Mr. Orp?
Have you been to Hampton?
Well, yes, I have. I preached there 2 weeks ago.
Then the report I received was correct. Francis, don't you understand that you are to work only here in Staffordshire?
Well, yes, but there seemed to be a need. I was nearby and went ahead on my own.
That is the very thing which cannot be allowed, Francis. There are many things I like about you, son, but your determination sometimes borders on stubbornness. I know you're being transferred to Northamptonshire, but while you're here, you're still under my jurisdiction. We have our plans, and it's our purpose to see that there's no overlapping of effort. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. And thank you for telling me.
Well, Francis, you've been preaching now for 3 years, going on 4.
Yes, sir.
You've improved a great deal. I have good reports of you. You're not so prone to go your own way as you were at first.
I hope I've learned, sir.
I asked you here before the Gloucester Conference opens because I wanted to talk with you again about the work in America.
Well, perhaps I can spare you some time, Dr. Wesley. I've thought about it a great deal, and I've prayed earnestly for guidance. And, sir, I'd like to volunteer.
And so we conclude Chapter 6 of Francis Asbury, the story of the circuit riders. We are presenting another in a transcribed series of stories of great Christians, which come to you from the radio studios of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.